Jumpstart your weekend, because The View is live. Brawlin' Biden. Why the Democratic frontrunner says it's no more Mr. Nice Guy in the next round of debates. Sealed with a diss. The president's photo op fail in front of an altered presidential seal containing insults about Trump. How did his team miss this? And Titus Burgess talks about the return of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And he's making his live singing debut here on The View. Let's fire up Friday Hot Topics with Whoopi, Abby Huntsman, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Meghan McCain, and Anna Navarro. Now, let's get things started.
Sit.
Oh, are we
You like my
new glasses today?
Yes, this is geriatric fly, I call it.
I really like them.
Well, I like to wear glasses now. That's my new thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you like them?
I really do.
I need an album, though, now. I need some kind of a rap album. I can't just wear the glasses.
Very hip.
Okay, let's do this. Democratic frontrunner Joe Biden says the gloves are off at the next debate. He admits he was too polite last time when he was confronted over his past voting record. But it didn't really hurt him. No. The polls still have him way out in front. So my question to this illustrious panel is, why change now? Leave it alone. Why does he have to become more belligerent to any of them? It's working to even just be nice.
What I don't know is why he's having to telegraph, what he's going to do next week. Look, I think people are looking at a Democratic nominee who can take on Donald Trump.
Right.
And we all know that Donald
That's
Trump can be vicious. He can be very effective. He can be snarky. He can be, mocking. And so part of this vetting process of this primary is who is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump. And that takes fighting back.
Well, I think that's the question. Can he win without having that particular card? Because people want somebody to beat Trump. The Democrats want somebody, and they feel he's the one who can do it. So maybe he doesn't have to.
See, and Joy and I have talked about this a lot. I don't think that you just vote for somebody who can beat Donald Trump. I think a lot of it is, why can't you vote for someone whose policies you agree with? Vote for someone who you believe in. Because I think this race is really about making a moral choice about the kind of people we want to be, the kind of nation we want to live in. And I reject that notion that I'm only going to vote for someone who I think can beat Donald Trump.
I get what you're saying, but I don't know that in this particular situation. I don't know what you think about this, Meghan, because I know you love Biden. In this particular situation, I know you do. We all love Biden. He's a great guy. But we're in such an emergency, in my opinion. I don't mean to be the sky is falling, but we are in a major emergency with Trump. And the main thing is to get him out. We don't have the luxury at this point to be so open-minded about, our policies. We got to get this guy out.
One of my favorite memories in my life in general is watching debate prep round robins, because you take the candidate and then you have strategists pretend to be other candidates. And then you throw out questions, I'm sure, Anna, as if you've seen in campaigns past, and you role play. And it's a fascinating exercise. I saw my family do it. I've seen other politicians do it. And so clearly he's doing round robins, prepping to go up against Kamala again. I think Kamala should become bared and ready, because I think there are a lot of different candidates that are going to be coming for her, because she did so strongly last time. I will say you're seeing Tulsi Gabbard take hits at her. What she said about Joe Biden and busing last time was perceived by a lot of people as, sort of incendiary in a lot of ways, especially when it came out that their political stance on busing, there really was not very much of a difference. So I think if you're Kamala Harris, you have to be ready for that entire stage to do a dog pile on you. And I also think what you said about the polling, it isn't impacting him. him. He's still far and large ahead of the pack.
Just like the polling doesn't impact Trump with his base. Nothing changes on certain people.
But listen,
but Kamala...
Biden has gone down a few notches, and Kamala Harris went up like 9 points. But I think part of the reason Kamala was so effective last time, and so was Julian Castro against Beto, it was the element of surprise. Joe Biden was gobsmacked when she came at him. Now you've got Tulsi telling everybody, you know, she's questioning Kamala's abilities. You've got Booker telling everybody he's going to question Biden. You got Biden telling everybody he's going to come out harder. Can we just get a little sorpresa? You know, at the end of the debate, you know, translate. I thought you just told me you speak Spanish.
I don't speak Spanish. I know a few words and I can pronounce correctly.
But you better need to know Spanish if you're going to watch the Democratic debate.
But you know what this was about?
There's always going to be an element of surprise.
I think Biden's problem going into this is he's always felt that he was the heir apparent to the nomination. Biden, yeah, and I think that
was the mistake Hillary Clinton made.
Yes, that was the mistake. I mean, this is a vetting process. This is an interview process with the United States of America.
But you know what?
The American public. He's not the heir apparent. You have to earn everyone's vote.
That's true. Biden on Kamala Harris, he said, I thought we were friends. I hope we still will be. And I think that is him saying, I'll be the nominee. She can be my vice president. I don't want any animosity between the two of us. Let's be friends. I don't think it's anything more than that.
I don't care who the nominee is. I hope they're all going to be friends, and they're going to all to work towards electing that nominee.
Did you see today?
One of the problems that we had in 2016 was the Bernie bros and the Bernie people, you know, still being a little bitter about Hillary Clinton. So they all, this time, the lesson learned is get over it, and get over it quick, because you got to beat Donald Trump.
That's true. That's what we want.
But part of the problem right now is that it is a clown. It still is like a clown car of candidates, like 22, 24, depending on which
How many
which
did
day
the
it
Republicans
is.
have when they were fighting?
17, I believe.
So it's up there.
And it can have the same impact. And I will say that, look, I understand Democrats are looking for who's going to be the strongest. I'm looking for what crazy crap Marianne Williamson's going to say. I'm looking forward to seeing what crazy radical stuff. If you're going to raise your hand and say that all illegal immigrants should have health care when they come into this country, right now it's who can be the most far left on this stage, which is great for a primary. It's great when you're trying to win over Democrats. But when you get to a general, it's also who's going to be able to hedge and win over all the Trump voters who voted for Trump after they voted for President Obama.
And I don't think it's about winning over the Trump voters, actually. No. I actually think if you look at the estimates by the U.S. Elections Project, 43% of eligible voters didn't even bother filling out a ballot in 2016.
So that
means 100 million people who have the legal right to vote just decided it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
That 100 million people, those 100 million people need to show up. So we need a candidate that are going to energize those people to walk out of their doors and walk into the ballot box and vote.
Well,
that's what we need. Who cares about the Trump voters? If you still support this president after his racism, after putting kids in cages, after everything he's done, you're not going to change.
True.
You're foregone. I don't care about you. But I care about the 100 million people.
There are statistical people in swing states, which is where it will matter for those of us who have campaigned many times in Ohio and Pennsylvania and places in the middle of the country that are up for grabs. So yes, there are groups of voters, independents, that did opt out in the last election. That yes, that's up for grabs. But don't underestimate the power of swing states. Hillary Clinton won by what, 3 million voters, but ended up losing in the Electoral College. And whether people like it or not, the Electoral College is how you win and die in this election cycle. So again, you want to wax poetic about not caring about these people. These people in Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsilvania, they're up for grabs, and you got to go to VFW halls.
This is why I think Pelosi's right. This is why Pelosi is right. I don't.
Someone in the audience have something
Maybe
to say?
they just burped.
Okay.
This is why I agree with Nancy Pelosi now that they should not do the impeachment right now because it's too distracting.
Which you've changed your mind on, which I find very interesting.
You did? Yeah, I did. I thought they should impeach him, but now after the Mueller thing, I say, you know what? Put your money in those states that you're talking about. Put your efforts over there. Don't, you know, when I got divorced, I'll bring myself into this. When I got divorced, my husband had no money to give me. But he had a little bit. And one of my friends said, you need to go after him for the money. And I said, he doesn't, you know, I can only do one of two things. I can pursue my career or I can go after him. And I feel that way about this election. You can't do that many things at one time. And I was right. Look, I have this job now because of that. I didn't spend my time going after getting blood from a rock. That didn't, you know.
Well, look, one of the things that most important things that was said in the Mueller hearing for me this week was that he can be held accountable after the presidency. You may not be able to indict him now, but you can indict him after the presidency. So anybody out there who wants to see Donald Trump be held accountable for criminal acts that he's gotten away with now, we need to vote him out.
That's right.
But there are people within, there are also people within the Obama coalition.
Yeah.
And again, you don't have to take my word for it. I'm just the Republican at the table. But I will say that
I'm a registered Republican too. I've been a Republican
I'm the
since I
conservative
was
at the
8
table.
years old.
Sorry, honey. I'm the conservative at the
Yeah,
table. The Democrats don't automatically get my vote. But I will say people like David Axelrod and people within the DNC concede that Hillary Clinton made fatal errors by not going to places like Wisconsin. In the last 3 weeks of the election, she didn't even go there.
That's what I'm saying.
She
They
sent
need to go there.
surrogates like Lena Dunham there, expecting that to win over voters. And again, you live and die by swing states. You just do. That's how presidential politics has been happening for the last 200 plus years.
All right, let me show you
it's vitally
people
important.
voted for President Obama.
Yes, and then
those
voted for Trump, and those are the people that can be changed.
Can vote.
Well, and you know
for
what?
the
And some of those
Democratic
people voted for the pot-smoking guy from New Mexico, or Jill Stein, you know, and they woke up the next morning feeling hungover and with great voter remorse that's going to last for 4 years.
But the majority of those people stayed home.
No, but 80,000 votes in Wisconsin made a difference in the last election.
Right.
Don't ever underestimate the power of
And I think that Joe Biden can get those votes.
I do too.
Coming up, I want to talk about Mitch McConnell.
Your favorite subject.
Please. This man gives me agita.
Everyone's talking about The View.
5 women are hosting the most politically relevant show on TV.
Yes, people come here because they know folks are watching.
If you're a Republican and you want to make news, come on this show.
Thank you. I think you guys are incredible.
Where the conversations matter.
I think we can clean this up right now.
I'm sorry she was treated the way she was treated.
You know, I think what she wants you to say is, I'm sorry for the way I treated you, not for the way you were treated.
And that's how The View became the most important political TV show in America.
It is raining candidates here on The View.
I can't tell you how many times I was asked to find a way to get on The View.
That's The View.
That's The View.
On ABC. Still ahead, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt star Titus Burgess makes his live singing debut on The View.
So when Robert Mueller testified on Wednesday, you saw that, I hope. He gave disturbing heads up to the committee about something. Watch.
In your investigation, did you think that this was a single attempt by the Russians to get involved in our election, or did you find evidence to suggest they'll try to do this again?
No, it wasn't a single attempt. They're doing it as we sit here. And they expect to do it during the next campaign.
Okay, so they're doing it. Okay, so why then did Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell block 2 cybersecurity bills that would guard against election fraud the very next day? Why wouldn't he want to keep the Russians out of our election?
To appease Trump, to protect Trump, because Trump got help from the Russians, because Trump got contacted by the Russians, the Trump campaign. They didn't report it. And so the Republicans are pretending that it's not a wrong thing. And I do want to recognize that the guy who asked the question there is Will Hurd, who is a Republican congressman from Texas. And I really appreciate that instead of doing what so many others did of his Republican colleagues, of distract and obfuscate and change the subject, he stuck to what, for me, is the most important issue. How do we keep foreign geopolitical foes from interfering and compromising our elections and our democracy?
Well, they don't want to do it. Can I just make a couple of a Russian company called Rusal invested $200 million in a new plant in Kentucky, which is Mitch McConnell's state. And Mitch McConnell himself, his super PAC got $3.5 million from a Russian oligarch. So it's a little suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah.
That he suddenly, and also, you know, Mitch McConnell has been against sanctions for quite a while. He's very strong. He wants to lift sanctions against Russia. There's a lot of, so that's why Joe Scarborough this morning called him Moscow Mitch, which I think is a good name for him, don't you?
Well, I think it was really shocking that people weren't more concerned about what Bob Mueller said, the special counsel said, because he did say that our very democracy continues to be attacked by the Russians. And that's what he's been saying all along, and that's what he's been most concerned about.
It's not only the Russians.
And now it's not only the Russians, right? We're talking about China, we're talking about Iran. And when you look at these two bills, they're very straightforward. They're asking for voter verifiable paper ballots. Everybody knows that that's a much better way to do it at this point. Voting machines that don't connect directly to the internet so that they can't be hacked. That's very important. They would give states money to secure their systems, and a study to determine optimal ballot design to minimize voter confusion and errors. Don't we want secure, fair, free, open elections?
And the second bill
what we want?
was even more simple. The second bill was, if you get contacted by a foreign government offering you campaign help, you've got to report it to the FBI.
Yeah. Which is what you're ethically supposed to do anyway.
To me, that's so not Republican. It's so not Democratic. It's
just American. It's just American. So I don't understand why block.
Yeah, I also think that we have to hold Silicon Valley a lot more accountable than they're being held right now. I actually think that we should have Jack Dorsey and, you know, the head of Facebook, the head of Twitter, head of everyone brought in front of Congress to explain their role in this as well, because they have a lot more power than, quite frankly, the American government does when it comes to.
Do you think Mitch McConnell would allow that?
I hope so. I mean, I don't understand why not. And I will say, Congresswoman Gabbard is actually suing Google right now for $50 million over election interference following the disappearance of her campaign ads immediately after the Democratic debate. She said, quote, "For hours, Tulsi's campaign advertising account remained offline while Americans everywhere were searching for campaign information about her," her campaign claimed. The lawsuit also alleges that the campaign's emails were landing in spam folders on Gmail at a disproportionately high rate. So I think we have reason to believe that there was Russian interference in the last election. I don't think any rational person would dispute that, but I also think we should look at what's happening now, because there's a lot of big business, big people in Silicon Valley who have interests in different ways, whether that has to do with Russia, whether that has to do with what candidate you want to get elected, and I think they are by far the most clear and present.
But also the Republican Party at this point, they realize that demographically they cannot really win legitimately. I think they know that.
I don't think that's true. I mean, I don't think that's true.
Well, let me tell you, we said that in 2016. And people came out of the woodwork
without
to vote for
Comey interference, without Russian interference,
and gerrymandering.
They have it rigged. Trump used to say it's a rigged system. Yeah, in your favor, Mister.
What scares me also is that there's evidence that Russians hacked into the ballots, the electronic ballots in 50 states, and all 50 states, but didn't change any of the votes.
Yeah.
It seems to me that they were just trying to see if they could do it. So since this president doesn't believe his own intelligence community and has done nothing to stop that from occurring in 2020, who's to say that if he is reelected that it's a legitimate election?
Exactly. And Republicans need to understand that, they might be in the majority in the Senate right now. They might have the presidency right now. But things change in politics.
Yeah.
And so one day it's going to be, they're going to come after you, which is why we need to set up the protections now.
Can we just show that? Do we have time for this thing? I just got to show you this one thing. Put that back up, please, what we were going to do. Now it's gone.
What is it?
I don't know. Oh, well, let's all sing Kumbaya. Okay, see this thing here? So Trump, that's Trump in front of this presidential seal, right? Where is it? Put the thing.
It's there.
Okay, he had a major photo op fail at a Teen Student Action Summit in D.C. He didn't realize he was posing in front of a fake presidential seal with a two-headed eagle holding golf clubs with a slogan in Spanish. The slogan in Spanish says, 45 es un títere, which translates to, 45 is a puppet. So how did all
the double eagles is actually much more similar to the Russian seal than it is to the American seal.
Somebody did this. We call títeres hoodlums.
Oh, really?
Just saying.
Is it different from puppet?
Yeah.
Okay. So all the people that work for him, all the best people he calls about, not one of them picked this up.
And he didn't pick it up either.
It's just bad advance.
Wow.
I mean,
actually, I'm not sure what there is to pick up. It sounds pretty accurate to me. Where's the mistake? Money, golf clubs, and he's a puppet.
Well, the only thing that's missing is maybe the picture of a bald eagle with a comb over. Coming up, a woman doubles down on a racist rant after being caught on tape. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that when we come back. a woman, her name is Nancy Goodman, is going viral right now for this confrontation with a black woman at a restaurant. Take a look.
Some real stuff. Good friends that are black, and I love them. We never said anything about color. We never said. So here's the thing. Let me understand.
You're too loud.
We're too loud.
In your opinion.
In your opinion. Let me show you my money. It's just as green as yours.
Rhino, you're so stupid.
Stupid.
And she doubled down when a WRAL reporter asked her about it later. Watch.
I'm a 71-year-old woman who lives in Raleigh. I suffer from tremendous anxiety. I'm not going to say I'm sorry to them because they kept pushing at it. So, and that's all I'd really like to say.
What about your use of the N-word?
I used that word because they forced me into it.
Is that, wait a second, is that Stephen Miller's mother?
Her hair is too good.
So is she going to end up with a job at the Trump administration, or what's going to happen to her? What do you think will happen to her? Unbelievable.
Listen, she's not a 71-year-old who suffers from extreme anxiety. She suffers from extreme bigotry and racism.
And racism.
Yeah. It's shocking to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, at this day and age, even now, it's shocking to hear something
But
like that.
we keep seeing more and more of these instances. Maybe it's because we're now capturing them on smartphones.
That's exactly
and really,
why.
never leave your home without your smartphone. But, you know, we've seen people get berated for speaking Spanish, being told constantly, go back to where you came from.
Yeah, right.
Kids are getting bullied in schools, and we're seeing this. I feel like it's the legitimization of racism. It's the empowerment of it. It's okay. You know, people used to be embarrassed to be racist.
Right. She's not.
She's not.
Well, because they've been given permission to do it, right? Because it's been normalized so much by what's going on in our country right now. When you have, in my opinion, a president that says, well, there are fine people on both sides talking about white supremacists, there are people like this woman that sees a change in the culture where they are being given permission. And what I'm tired of is people saying, Sonny, you talk too much about race, and you talk too much about racism, and that's race baiting. If you are tired about hearing about racism, imagine how tired I am of being discriminated against and of being called the N-word. Imagine how I feel.
It's really hard to watch.
It's hard.
It's really, when the producer came in and showed it to me, reading it is still differently than seeing it. She's clearly so brazen and unapologetic about using one of the worst terms anyone could ever use under any circumstances. Look, it's a really bad time in our country for a lot of different reasons, and we're ripping each other apart. And I think being 71 is not an excuse. I think being from the South is not an excuse. I don't know what her excuse is other than you're now on The View and the entire world thinks you're the worst representation of bigotry in this country. So congratulations, you made it national as the face of racism.
Right.
I don't know what else to say. We're ripping each other apart. It's a horrible time.
Do you remember each other apart, but we're also speaking against it quite a bit.
Yes, we are.
But do you remember a few years ago when there was an instance, and she's Southerner, and she's, of a certain age, Paula Deen was caught having said the N-word. And it cost her endorsements. It cost her a show.
She disappeared.
She had to apologize. You used to be embarrassed. You used to pay a cost. There used to be consequences to being a horrible human being, a racist and a bigot. Today, there are no consequences.
Well, I think that if she had
a show... You can be elected president.
I think that if she had a show on... Well, that's true, but I think if she had a show on TV, she'd lose her job. This is just an average person in the world.
The president hasn't lost his job.
No, he's above... Don't you know he's above the law?
Apparently so.
Okay, I have to show you... oh, we're not doing the other thing either. Okay. Okay, coming up, a hilarious Real Housewives moment when the cast weighs in on Luann's singing ability. That's next. Okay, so at the Real Housewives of New York reunion last night, you watched that, don't you, Megan? Yeah. So the ladies were asked what they think of Countess Luann's cabaret act. Apparently she has a cabaret act, and she didn't exactly get rave reviews. Watch.
I love your show, but you have to have some type of self-awareness, and I'm sure you all will agree with me here that
Lou can't sing.
No,
you can't carry a tune.
I think It's like me.
But you're a great performer.
I mean, you're not Adele, Luann. But
no, I'm not, and I don't pretend to.
So, I mean, they didn't pull any punches, really. I mean, would you? I don't know if I would tell my friend that she had no talent. I really don't think I could do it. Could you do it?
No, you can't give unsolicited advice.
So what would you say if someone, like, let's say one of us had a cabaret act and we were really bad?
I would say, does it make you happy?
Actually, she would.
I would.
Yeah, I mean, I think I actually think you've told me that sometime.
Does it make you happy? There are certain good things to say to people. That's a good one.
You know what?
To make you happy.
More power to Luann, who they all say can't sing, but is filling up cabaret venues all over the country.
Really?
She came here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's a.
And by the way,
sometimes it's a train wreck that you're watching. I'm not saying that's true of her.
Well, listen, but it's still, if you're still getting people to pay to go watch the train wreck, it's a train wreck that's filling up your bank account. I'm good with that.
There are plenty of entertainers that aren't the best singers, but you're entertained.
Yeah.
But they can dance.
All right.
Yeah.
Megan, what do you think, Megan? Yeah. Would you tell me, for instance, would you tell me, Joy, your jokes are stupid, you're an idiot, you're boring?
No. First of all, I don't think anyone who's been doing what you've been doing for 22 years is bad at their job.
But she hasn't been.
No, she's been doing it for like 6 months out of rehab.
Yeah.
I will say it's true.
Be nice.
She knows. She watches
I'm
the
a
show.
big fan of hers, by the way.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is she's very entertaining. Like in the clips of the show, like even if she isn't the best singer, she's definitely funny. She includes different kind of people in the audience, and I have actually tried to go at different times, but because of the schedule of this show, it's very late at night. I just can't drink on weekdays anymore. And who wants to not go to a cabaret show and not drink? So I love Countess Luann. I've always been a fan. I will 100% go, and not everything has to be perfect all the time.
She ended up sitting next to my husband the other day. We were at this party for Don Lemon's Don Lemon's engagement.
We were sitting across from. I was sitting with
She ended up sitting next to my husband, who thinks the Real Housewives basically kills brain cells. He really has an issue with me watching it, and he had no idea. He had no idea who she was. And when we left, he said to me, "Mommy, esa mujer, she talked about cabaret, 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 cabaret." But he said she was very, very nice.
He called you mommy? What is that?
It's mommy.
You know what? Ronald Reagan. Wait a minute. Ronald Reagan.
Very Mike Pence of him.
But Ronald Reagan
calls his wife mama.
I can't top that. We'll be right back.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt star Titus Burgess on how President Trump inspired a track on his new album. Plus, he's making his live singing debut here on The View. Next on The View, David Spade and Jerry O'Connell are bringing the laughs. Plus, Idris Elba comes to our house.
You're talking to Idris Elba here, okay?
I would trust Idris Elba with my life.
And the week's not complete without a sizzling political view, because 2 presidential candidates are making their campaign stops on The View. Next week on ABC.
Okay.
Titus, it's Friday night and we're having a sleepover. Now that I have a real job, I'm gonna do weekends to the max.
That was singer-actor Titus Burgess in his role as Kimmy's hilarious and outspoken roommate on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. He's also outspoken in real life, as evidenced on his new album, St. Titus. Please welcome the multi-talented Titus Burgess. Stay here. Stay right here.
Yes. So wonderful. Now your third album comes out today.
It's out today.
Yes, and it's very personal, right?
Yes, it is.
It addresses your own struggles with depression, homophobia, and self-love, and you call it Saint Titus, which I love.
Oh, why
why? What's the meaning behind that?
Saints are just sinners who fell down and got back up. I'm a flawed human being.
And I will look to myself to be my best self. So when I look myself in the face of that, the cover of that album, it is me who I aspire to be, no one else.
Oh, I love that.
So,
Yeah.
you know, one track of the album is called 45.
Yes.
That's who it's about. It's about Trump. So why did you include that?
Well, it's less about that man and more of a call to action to the American people. We put him into office and we can take him out.
I like that. There you go. You're going to perform a song for us, so let's get to it. Here to perform I'll Be All Right from his new album, St. Titus, Titus Burgess.
I'll be all right.
Thank you so much. That is what you call a torch song, right? That's a torch song. Thanks to you, Titus Burgess, for coming by and entertaining us. St. Titus is available now everywhere. You can where you download music everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And we'll be right back.
Thank you.